Good evening. How's everyone doing today? Say hi on the Avaz too. Hi. Namaste. And good evening. Welcome to Avaz Storytime. I'm Nayantara. I'm a speech pathologist. And I'm helping do the Storytime today. So we are going to use a storybook, and we're going to use our Avaz device, and we're going to read a story together. So the plan for today is first we'll start off with just talking about some strategies that we can use during the story time. And then after that, we'll do the story reading. And after that, there'll be some time for a few questions, and I'll help answer those. And finally, at the end, there's a quick survey that we'd like you to fill out to share your feedback. So that's the plan for today. So if you're just joining in, we're doing Avaz Storytime today with a storybook. And I'm Nayantara, I'm a speech pathologist. So until more people join in, I just thought I'll talk to you a little bit about what you can use. So it doesn't always need to be an actual storybook that looks like this. You can even use an e-storybook, which you can get from the website where we got this book, or from another website called Tahil Reader, which has lots of ebooks that you can download and use. So that's another way that you can use Storytime with Avaz. Another thing that I'd like to say right at the beginning is we'll be sending you some resources of the different strategies and the techniques that we'll be using today. So don't worry. It may seem like a lot, but we'll send you some resources to go along with it so you can have a look at a later time. So that's about it. I think one of the reasons that we picked this is we have parents and families always asking us, what activity can we do with our child with the Avaz? And reading a storybook is a great thing to do because you can model lots of different language in just one activity. And, it's always fun to read a storybook together. And you learn a lot in just one go. So using a storybook is a great activity to do with the Avaz. And that's why we chose it for this webinar. Okay. I think we might get going. I think hopefully lots of people have signed up and joined in. Thank you for joining in, everyone. So the first strategy that I would like to talk about before we get into the book reading is modeling. So now you would have heard of modeling in so many different places, but it's always good to keep learning about it because that's the one strategy that we need to learn and use every time that we're using the Avaz and every time we're teaching a new concept. So modeling is just basically us showing the Avaz user what we require them to do. So if we ask a question and we want them to respond in a certain way, we can show them how to say it and then ask them to copy it. So I'll give you an example. So suppose you wanted to ask your Avaz user if they want to read the storybook today, right? That's a good question to start off with before this activity. So you say, what do you want to do? And you want them to say, I want to read a storybook. So then what you will do is you will take the Avaz device to them, and then you will say, you can say, I want to read the storybook. So now you've showed them what to say. So the next step would be to give the device to them and then give them an opportunity to say it themselves. So at this point, you have to remember that you don't need to force them to respond because you've shown it to them and they've already got that input. So if they don't respond, that's okay. You can just answer for them. You can say, oh, so you want to read the storybook? Let's go. Let's do that. And the second thing that I want to mention is you don't need to model the entire sentence. So you don't need to model, I want to read a storybook. You can just model a few words. So like I chose to model want, but you can choose to model I want or I want book. Either of that works. So that's a little bit about modeling. Hopefully that was helpful. And you can use it along with the story today. Now, before we go on to the second strategy, I just thought I'll talk a little bit about the book. So this book is called Farida Plans a Feast. The author is Megan Dobsey-Sippy, and it's illustrated by Jayesh Sivan. It's a level 2 book, and it's from this publication house called Pratham Books. So you can, I think we'll share some links on how to get a hold of this book. So you can use a book, something like this, or like I said earlier, you can even use an ebook to do this activity. So coming to the second strategy, it's called the CAR strategy, or the CAR, CAR strategy. So this is a strategy that we use when we are reading stories together. So the C in the CAR stands for comment. So let's take an example so it makes more sense. So if we were looking at this picture, I would comment saying, oh, look, it's a bird. The birds are flying. So you make a comment about what's happening in the picture, and then you wait. And then you wait for the Avaz user to respond. So depending on that, you can do the next step, which is A, which is ask. So C for comment, A for ask. Now you ask a question. So you can say, do you know what bird this is? So again, we have to wait. We have to give the opportunity for them to respond. And if they do or do not respond, then you can go to the next step, right? So you can answer it for them, but remember to add more. So the last one is the R. So C for comment, A for ask, and R for respond. But you have to add a little more. So you can say, oh, it's a sparrow. I like sparrows. So I added in that one extra detail because that way we're adding in some new information that the child can learn. So that's the CAR strategy that we use while reading storybooks. So remember, comment, ask, and respond. So you will see me using this strategy throughout this book as well. Okay, I think that's all of the strategies. What I'll do now is we'll get started with the book. So all of you get your Avaz device ready, and let's get going. You'll see that I've made some changes to my Avaz device. So I've made the advanced screen as my home screen, and I've added a couple of more words to suit it. So that's why it looks a bit different. So I just thought I'll put that out there before we begin. Okay, so let's go. Farida plans a feast. Farida goes for a walk every evening. She takes an empty tiffin box and a big water bottle, right? Can you guys see the picture? So where does Farida go? So we're going to find out that she goes for a walk, right? Before that, do you go for a walk in the evening? I wonder where you go for a walk. Maybe you can share what you see on your walk with someone that's next to you. So use your Avaz and tell your family where you go for a walk. Okay, so let's turn the page and find out where Farida goes for a walk. Ah, where did she go? I'm going to show you so you can have a look. So she's gone to the kitchen. And she's doing something. She's doing an action word. It's a talking action word. So I'm going to go to actions, talk, and I'm going to say
Ask.
Ask. So she is asking something. What does she ask? Can I have some rice, please? So she's asking her mom for some rice. So her tiffin box is filling up. Let's delete that.
Here. Home.
I wonder where she's
Go.
going next. Let's turn the page and find out. Okay. Where did she go this time? Can you guys have a look?
Look.
Yes? Okay. So there's lots of these things over here. What are these?
Here.
I think they're
Vegetables.
vegetables. So she's gone to the vegetable lady. And
Go back. Home.
she's asking for something. So she's asking for some tomatoes. But these tomatoes are a little different.
Different.
She asks for squash tomatoes. So squash tomatoes, right? So she's asking for some squash tomatoes. She's got them and she's filling her tiffin box with some squash tomatoes. Okay.
Here.
Where does she go next? Where does she go? Let's find out. Okay, I think I know where she's gone. She's gone to the tea shop. Would you like to see the tea shop? Have a look. Okay. Did you see what's in all of these boxes? They're a snack.
Yeah.
So we go into eat. We go into snacks. I think there's some biscuits, right? So there's lots of yummy biscuits in all of these boxes. So what does Farida ask for? She asks for broken biscuits. So the biscuits are broken. I think we need a describing word to talk about broken. Let's find that. So we go to describe. We go to appearance because that's how it looks. And we're going to say
Broken.
Broken. So she asked for some broken biscuits. So there she's got broken biscuits and her tiffin box is filling up. Okay.
Home. Here.
Do you guys know where she might go next? Can you take a guess? Let's find out. Oh, I think this is a really fun place. So there's some water, there's some sand, and there's a lady selling some fish. I think we need to go to our places to tell what place this is. So we go to fun places. Oh, look, there's some sand, there's some water. It's the
Beach.
beach. It's the beach. Farida's at the beach and she's getting some fish from the fish lady. But these fish
Home.
are a little
Different.
She wants smelly fish. So she doesn't want the normal fish. She wants the smelly fish. Okay.
Here.
So now she's got the smelly fish. What is she going to do next? Let's turn the page and find out. Oh,
Go.
where did she go this time? Have a look. She's gone to the potter's shop. So this is the potter, and these are all of his pots that he's made. So she asks the potter, to give her some bowls. So, do you think her shopping's finished?
Finished.
Do you think that she's got all of what she needs? I don't know. Let's find out. I think she does. Look, she has all the food. So she's got her broken biscuits. She's got her rice. She's got the squashed tomatoes. And she's got the smelly fish and the bowls. Have a look. That's all the food that she got.
Yeah.
What is she going to do with all this food? Can you guys take a guess? You can use your Avaz and tell someone next to you what you think she might do with all this food. She's thinking too. She's planning and thinking. I think we need an action word for that. So let's go to actions. And oh, there we go. She's thinking and she's planning. Yeah. What is she going to do with all this food? I think we might find out in the next page. Okay, let's turn the page. I think she's giving it to some animals.
Yeah.
Which animal is first? Can you guys have a look? Let's go to our animals and let's see what we have. So we go to categories, animals and birds, domestic animals, and we have the
cat.
We have cats. And
yeah.
What are the cats eating? Did you guys see what they were eating? It's the smelly fish. So the cats are eating the smelly fish. What about the rest of the food? I wonder who's going to be eating the rest of the food. Let's have a look. Okay. So this time, this time we have dogs. Can you find out what the dogs are eating? Okay. I think it's the broken biscuits. So why don't we make a sentence this time? So let's go to our animals. Animals and birds, domestic animals, dog. And then we have to talk about eating. So we'll go back and we'll say eating. And then the last one is the broken biscuits. So that's a snack. So we go to our snack and biscuits. So we made a sentence about it. So the dog is eating the biscuits.
Dog eat biscuit.
Dog's eating the biscuits. Okay. So there we go. Woof, woof. Snacks for the dogs. What about the rest of the food? Let's have a look. This time it's a bird. It's the crows. What are the crows eating? Did you guys guess? It's the squashed tomatoes.
Yeah.
So the crows are eating the squashed tomatoes. So we have the smelly fish, we have the broken biscuits, and we have the squashed tomatoes. What's left? Let's find out. Oh, look, it's another bird this time. And
What?
what is it eating? So these are some sparrows. See, they're going cheep, cheep. And it says dinner for the sparrows. So what are the sparrows eating? Ready to have a look? Ah, it's the rice. The sparrows are eating the rice. There's one more thing I'd like to tell you about this picture. Can you have a look at these sparrows? How do you think they feel? Let's go to our feelings folder.
Yeah.
I think they look very happy and excited. I think they feel very happy and excited to eat the rice. You can see their faces. They look happy, don't they? So they're feeling happy and excited to have their dinner. Okay. Now, was that all the food that Farida got? Let's find out. Yes, it is. It is all the food.
Yeah.
All the food is finished. Look at all the bowls. I think we can use another describing word to talk about these bowls. Let's have a look. So let's go to our describe. Let's go to quantity. And let's talk about, there we go. We found our word, empty. So the bowls are now empty. So all the food is finished and the bowls are now empty. So it says, there is nothing left in the tiffin box until tomorrow. So that's the end of the story.
Yeah.
The storybook is
Finished.
Now, at the end of this book, there's some fun tips. So they tell you if you had animals near your house, they tell you what you can do. Okay, so I will read the first tip for you. So it says you have to feed the animals every day at the same time and at the same place. Okay. Another tip is you have to give them a drink. So if you look at our eat folder, we have all the food, but we also have drinks. So you need to give them water along with the food when you feed the animals near your house. So those were some tips about feeding animals. Okay, so I'm just going to put my book away. So what did you all think about this book? Did you like it? And who was your favorite animal? Which animal did you like the most? Mine were the dogs. I love the dogs. You can even go to the quick folder, go to responses and comments, and tell me how the book was. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to say it was
Great.
I wonder what you're going to share with your family about how the book was. Okay.
Yeah.
Now,
Quick.
Back to quick. Greetings and manners.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening, and thank you for joining in. And
see you later.
I will see you another time.
Home.
There we go.
Yeah.
So just wanted to, now that the book is finished, just wanted to share some tips. As you might have seen, I was modeling a lot of language using this book. But if your Avaz user is just starting out, you can model just fewer words with a book. So for example, if it was this book, you could have just modeled the word go, like where did Farida go? Where did Farida go? Another one could be what. So you could have just modeled what are they eating? So that's one example. And if your Avaz user has lots of language and is really proficient, you can model more sentences like I did. And you can even ask questions, and you can even encourage them to ask questions about the book. So you can change it depending on what level your Avaz user is at. Another tip that I would like to share is, I don't know if you would have noticed, but I had some sticky notes on my book to help me remember the words that I would like to model. So even therapists need help. So I put those there so that I don't forget. And I know that, oh, from this point onwards, I'm modeling the word go. And I have them all along the way. So you can use that strategy too to help you remember what words you'd like to model, because at that time, there'll be too many things to remember. So this is a great way. Another thing is that remember, you can just use a storybook like this, or you can even use an ebook, like I said earlier. So all of these are good to go when you're doing your modeling. I think now we have some time for questions. So you can post them in the Q&A box right up on your screen instead of the chat. And I'll try to answer a few of them. Hope you're able to notice all of those moments where I was commenting or asking questions or even just responding to those questions. So that was the CAR strategy that we were talking about. So that's comment, ask, and respond. And you would have seen me, we don't have another child in this video, but you would have seen me modeling as well. So just use all of those same strategies when you would like them to respond.
So Riddhi has asked a question, how to encourage the child to use Avaz app?
Okay, thank you for that question. I think in the beginning, it would be really good to start with something that's motivating for them. So that's why when we start teaching with the Avaz, we try to use it for requesting for their needs or things that they really want. So for example, it could even be like a favorite cartoon, or it could be a favorite food item. So just starting with helping them ask for those really motivating and powerful things would be one way. Another way, which I think is also very important, is for them to say no or to stop something. Because, we always teach them to ask, but it's always good to teach, like if they don't want or if they want to stop an activity. So that also I find is really motivating. So to start with the requesting or something to negate, something to say no, I think those would be two good options to encourage the child to use the app.
Shanti Rajesh has asked, when we log in, we need to put the name of the child. As facilitators, we would work with many students. How to start there?
Okay. So even with me, like for me as a therapist, I'm working with a number of children. So it's okay if you can just, put any details at the beginning to start off with. As you go, you can always modify it. Like I said earlier, like I'm using the advanced, so you can always use just the basic or just the advanced, depending on what your therapist says. So it's okay to just put some details to start with, but then later you can always customize and modify it depending on whichever child you're working with at that time.
Okay. Vani George says, can you give examples about the child asking a question for this story?
Oh, yeah, sure. So maybe if I will have a look and I will give you a proper example. Maybe it can even be like, can we still see the video? Yeah. So even if it's for this picture, it could be like, you can ask the child if the child knows what this is. And then if the child says no, then you can encourage them to ask you. You can say, ask me. You can say, what is this? and then you can give them the answer T. Like for something, I think a good way to start off with encouraging children to ask questions is for things that they don't know, or they don't really, they can't really find out, or they need your help with. So asking them to say, even just tap on the what button would be a great way to start. And you can even use it, maybe you can use a who question for like, who is this man? Then you will have to teach them about who a potter is. And you can even ask them to tell you, oh, what place is this? Where is this? So those are some examples of questions that you can encourage them to ask. So you can model it and then give them an opportunity to ask you and then answer it for them.
Okay, here's a question from Tapasya Sen. What type of books to be used for beginners?
So I think you can use books that have more pictures and lesser text to start off with. But even if you have a storybook with a little bit of text, instead of focusing on reading the text, what you can do is just use the comment, ask, and respond strategy and use that to talk about the book. So even if you just talk about what's happening in the picture, that itself is helpful. So you can use books with lesser text, but if you don't have access to them, you can even just ignore the text and just focus on describing the picture that's in the book.
Vanilla says this is using verbal and this is using for verbal and non-verbal child also. Can you use this? I think that's what she means.
Oh, okay. Yes, definitely. You can read stories to anyone. I think all of them appreciate it, and it's a great way to teach them lots of language, even if they are not able to respond either verbally, and even if they're using non-verbal gestures or anything of that sort. So use the Avaz and use a storybook, and I think it's a great way to engage Avaz users with it. So it can be used for both.
Yeah, Grace has asked a question, a very important one. Should we create separate folders for each story?
No, you don't need to, because already Avaz has a very wide range of vocabulary available to us. So we can just use whatever vocabulary is there. And simple words like, I think what we call fringe words, maybe words like the think and the plan, which I didn't have, I added in. But otherwise, we can stick to the folders that we already have, because another thing that we want our Avaz users to learn is the navigation. So, not all of it is going to be in one place. So they need to learn to go and find it according to where it is in the Avaz. And you will see that, it took me a while too to find it. And I think as parents or family members, sometimes we think that, oh, okay, maybe we'll just put it all in one place. It makes it easier. But the whole approach is to use all of these different folders. So we understand that, it fits into all of these different concepts or categories. So you don't need to create separate folders. Maybe you can add a couple of words in under, like, if you didn't have the word biscuit, so if you didn't have the word squashed, you could add that in under a describing word, or if you can add that in under a snack. But I think we would retain the same folders.
Yeah, Srividya says some students have minimal language. If we use both, I mean book and Avaz, if the student will listen, may only Avaz book, or how do I handle the situation?
If the students will listen to only one, I think that's what they're trying to say. I
both,
think in the beginning, it may be hard to focus on both. I think, like you're saying, if they have minimal language, but they would be using the Avaz. I guess you're asking for an Avaz user. So it would just be an activity to practice using the Avaz at that time. So, instead of sitting and doing like a particular activity, you can just read a book together. And at that time, keep modeling the language. Even if at the beginning, they're not paying attention, maybe with practice, like if you make it a routine, that would help them. Another way is to make it really engaging. So, change your facial expressions, change your voice, And you can have like props, you can add like a picture, you can cut out some things in cardboard and make it really fun and interesting that way. So if they're already using the Avaz, then it's a great activity to do with them. I think that's the answer to your question.
Neeti says, how do we prepare Avaz screen for a story?
Maybe the first thing to do would be to figure out for yourself what word you would like to model. So for example, if you're learning the word, you're learning to ask the question, what? So then you can go through the book yourself and decide, okay, how am I going to do this? And now once you've decided that you're going to model what, then that should be there either in your advanced screen or in your core words, anywhere. So you can just prepare that. So like I think I was saying earlier, you don't need any specific preparation. You can mostly use all the vocabulary we have range. So most really advanced.
I think we're losing your
I think,
voice. Nayantara?
sorry.
We lost your voice. I couldn't hear
Hello.
you. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I was
Yeah.
just saying that you should have more things in the advanced folder to begin with. So you can just continue to use those. And if you can't find them, they should be under core words or basic. So you don't need much preparation. Once you've decided what words you're going to model, then you can just set that up. But mostly you should have everything ready to go.
Riddhi says, how to model to ask questions using Avaz?
I think I answered that.
Yeah, I think you've answered that. Okay, Rekha says, if the child is verbal and can communicate for his needs, how do you use Avaz? For now, we are using to teach vocabulary.
If the child is
verbal and can communicate his needs, how do you use Avaz? I mean, that's, I think, a different...
I think I would need more information about that child, to be honest. Because one thing we would need to know is, like, other than communicating for his needs, does he communicate for any other functions? Because so there's a concept called communicative functions, where, we don't just communicate to ask for something, but we also communicate if we want to comment on something, like when we say, oh, wow, or oh, this was awesome. Or we even comment to ask for help, like, oh, please, can you help me? Another way that we comment is like if we want to say no to something. So another way that we can communicate, like say, oh no, I don't want to play this game. No, stop playing. So there's lots of different functions or the reasons or purposes for which we communicate. So if they're only communicating their needs, then we would need to look at how we can encourage them to do all of the different functions. And using the Avaz is a great way to teach them that.
Yeah. Grace says, can you give more techniques like CAR, like CAR?
I think what I will do is there's another strategy called the crowd, which sort of gives you a little more idea about the car. I can't remember them off the top of my head, but I think can we get someone
we can share them. We can share that on the email that we'll send it.
Yeah, I think it should be in that same blog article that we have on our website about strategy. So the crowd just gives you a better idea about the car. Like, it gives you really specific strategies or techniques that you can use. So that would be another one.
Yeah. Can I help? Samita says, can I get help in making stories in Avaz?
Making stories in Avaz. Oh, okay. I think we can help with that. Like, I guess one thing is, why would you be making the story in Avaz? Like, for example, is that for them to narrate the story? So we just need to find out, I guess, the reasoning behind it. But you can always just put together pictures and phrases and maybe put together a story. But otherwise, if you're looking for different stories, there's lots available online that you can access. Like, it looks just like a storybook, but it's just an e-storybook. And I think in the time of COVID right now, that just works really well for us.
Yeah. Riddhi says, if the child is already saying no to everything, how to bring in positive mode? My child is on minimum speech. So this is not really related to shared reading. We are just taking on questions related to shared reading since we're already running out of time.
Yeah.
Shanti says, love the session. Demo of the storytelling was very empowering for facilitators. I'm really motivated to use the app for my students. Great.
Oh,
Thanks,
that's
Shanti,
really
for sharing that. This is a myth that using apps discourages verbal communication by children and become lazy. Can you help to dispel this? Again, it's not really related to this. I think we'll skip that for now. Sorry to stop you short. Rekha,
no, fine. I think that question's been answered in lots of different ways. Yeah.
My son always wants to play with Avaz. I try to hide a few things which is fascinated with, how to make him use it for communication. Okay, again, it's not related to reading. So we're skipping this for now. I'm sorry because we're also running out of time. And Samita says, can I have your contact number in case we have a query later while storytelling? You can feel free to share your questions here on this, and Nayantara will be happy to answer it on Instagram. Vani's, on this session.
So this book that I read during the Storytime was from this publication house called Pratham Books. So Pratham is really great in the fact that you can actually read their books online in a different website called the Story Weaver. And then I think even if you don't want to purchase it, you can use Star Heal Reader. And that's another website where you can access lots of different books. So those are two places that I'm aware of.
Yeah. And one more says it's an e-story. We need 3 devices, child, therapist, and for the story. If it's an e-story, do we need 3 devices?
Oh, okay. Child, no, not necessarily. So if it's an e-story book, what the therapist can do is they can share their screen and show the storybook to you. Like I guess it depends on whether it's an online session or a face-to-face session. So what I'm doing right now with my clients is I share my screen and I log in from another device so I can see how they are using the Avaz. So they're just watching my screen. And so you would need 2, I think, from a client's perspective. So you need your Avaz and you need something to watch the story.
Yeah. Thank you so much. It was very informative, interactive session. Can you please share the websites you just told now? Pratham Books, is it? Did you say?
Yeah, I'll be sharing the one on Pratham Books.
So we'll also send it to you by email for those who were registered. Pratham Books and Story Weaver. Yeah, so I think we're done with the questions for now and the session.
Okay, so thank you all so much for signing in.
Yeah.
And once this webinar ends, there's a survey that we'd like you to fill so that you can share your feedback. Thank you so much for listening. See you another time.
Thank you all for joining in. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.